Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie, and today we're working on pages 4 and 5 in the All for Fall mini album. For this album, I'm using a digital paper collection that I created, and I will link to it on my Etsy shop in the description box down below. So some of these measurements might change. It's been a while since I've done a pull tab waterfall. And if they do, I will be sure and link the updated dimensions in the cut list, also in the description box down below. But here's what I've got right now. We have 8 waterfall pieces. Remember, this is for 2 pages. They are 3.5 by 4.5. We will not be scoring anything on the waterfall. We have 2 waterfall stays. They are 5.5 by 1.5. We're going to score the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, fold that under, and score again at 4.5 inches. And we have 2 waterfall pulls. They are 4.5 by 10. I will call out the score lines as I create them. And we have 2 pull mechanisms because when I did the calculations, I believe I need a 4.5 by 15 inch pull mechanism total. So this section is 5 by 4.5, and I'm going to score the 5 inch side at 4.5 inches. For solid cardstock, we have 2 base page mats at 6 1/8 by 5 7/8. 2 mats for the pull mechanism at 4 3/8 by 4 7/8. And 2 mats for the waterfall itself at, was it? I don't remember what the waterfall mat was, or the waterfall dimensions were. So it's me 3 3/8 by 4 3/8. And for pattern paper, we have 2 pieces at 6 by 5 3/4 for the base page. 2 pieces at 4 1/4 by 4 3/4 for the pull mechanism. And 2 pieces at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 for the waterfall. So let's get started with creating the waterfalls. And I'm going to start that with doing the score marks for these 4 pieces. And for the 10 inch pieces, I want to score at 9.5 inches, 9 inches, 8.5 inches, 8 inches, and I may be trimming this down. We want to go ahead and we want to crease all of these score lines. Let's go ahead and add the waterfall. Actually, that's going to be a pain in the butt to trim because I'm 90% sure I'm going to need to trim this. So let's go ahead and position that and look for the ruler. So the page is 6 inches tall total. And yes, I am going to need to trim that right about there. What does that make a new dimension? 7 inches. So we're going to add a line of glue to this first segment of the pull mechanism. And we're just going to lay the first waterfall piece down on top of it. Try to keep everything straight. Let's go down to the next section. Add another line of glue. Also want to try to keep the waterfall segments lined up with each other as well as we can. Now let's add the closure tab. We need to for the two stay pieces. So let me grab the scoreboard again real quick. Start 1/2 inch, fold that under. Then I'm actually going to go to 4 5/8 over here. And 1/2 inch, fold that under, and 4 5/8. Okay, I actually cut all that off prematurely because I forgot that this piece needs to extend all the way back down to here because that's where this piece mounts to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend this. And it may actually end up working better. We'll see. So I've cut two pieces to 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. I'm going to score the 3 1/2 inch side at 3 inches. I'm going to add a line of glue here to the back of this first scored segment. And I'm going to glue this little flap down. And let's repeat that for the other waterfall. Again, we're on the very first score segment, and we're gluing this little flap down. So the stay mechanism is going to glue. We're going to put some glue on the inside right here. And that's actually, it's going to open like that. Right, before we go any further, I'm going to round these corners here. And I'm going to round the corners on both of, well, all 4 of the mats. So these are the 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So this is the 4 1/4 inch side. I rounded 2 of those corners. This is the 4 3/8 by 4 7/8. That's the 4 3/8 inch side. I'm going to round those two corners. And another thing that I need to do before I start matting anything is get the magnets placed on the outside of these flaps here. Where did my double-sided tape go? Here we go. Let's go ahead and mat the outside of these waterfall closures. I'm not going to mat the inside. We're going to add the mat, which is, I calculated it 1/2 inch too long. Let me go trim. I'm going to go trim this up and I'll be right back. So the correct measurements are 4 1/4 inches squared and 4 3/8 inches squared. Now we need to add just the solid cardstock mat to the very top waterfall piece. There we go. And now let's drop this other magnet on top there. We just need to find where the back side of that magnet is. Make sure we got the poles going in the right direction. And now we're going to lay it down on a piece of double-sided tape. And just rotate that over and press down. And make sure that double-sided tape catches. There we go. Now we're going to cover up that magnet with the second mat for the waterfall. This waterfall is done for the moment. You need to repeat that with the other waterfall. So let's grab pages 4 and 5. We're going to add the mats. And take one 6 by 5 3/4 inch piece of pattern paper. And lay it down on one 6 1/8 by 5 7/8 piece of solid cardstock. And now we're going to glue all of that down to page number 5. And, oops, I want to fold this tab over and add glue just to the back side of these tabs. You don't want to add any glue anywhere else. We're going to center this on the page and press down. Then we're going to repeat that whole process for page number 4. My glue keeps rolling off its stand and knocking things off my table. But if I don't put the glue on the stand, then half this video is just going to be me trying to get the glue to the front of the bottle, the nozzle. And again, we are only adding glue to these tabs here. And it's the back side, the side that's going to be facing the base page. Now we are basically ready to go ahead and add all of these pages into the album and finish up the album. So I'm going to start with pages 5 and 6 and add glue right here to the spine tab. And I'm going to position it so that this spine tab is roughly ½ an inch away from the back. And I'm going to center it top to bottom. Now, I'm going to add pages 3 and 4. And I'm going to lay the spine tab directly on top of the spine tab for 5 and 6. And I'm just going to hold it down for a couple of minutes while it gets dry enough. And I've got page 2 facing up. I've got the spine tab over here. I'm going to flip that over, add glue to the back of it. And now I'm going to lay it down on the spine and I'm going to push it right up against the score line for pages 3 and 4. And I'm gonna hold that down and let it dry for a little bit. The album is basically assembled. I could stop here if I want to, but I don't want to. Okay, I've gotten out my We Are Memory Keepers Big Chomp Punch. I don't remember what it's called. And I'm going to punch a hole right about, I'm trying to get as close to the center as I can. There. And get a ring post. Add a ring post to this album. And I've got these little charms. I have 3 extras of these that I will make available again on my Etsy shop, and I will link to the charms as well as the pattern paper collection in the description box down below. And if you message me through Etsy and ask for a ring post, I will happily send you a ring post. I have quite a few of these. I don't mind throwing one in if you order a charm. So what else do I want to do with this album? I want to make sure that the elements that I bring out in different places in the album continue to show, like through it. I don't want this image to just show up in one spot in the album because it kind of looks weird. So I think I'm going to add this. I actually need to cut these down because they are a little bit larger than 4x6. It's still closing. That's not going to close, but we'll close with that. I've already got 4x6s in there. Add this 4x6 back here. And I'll just have this one for another project. Let's add some 3x4s. We already have some 3x4s and 4x6s in here, and also in here. I think that actually does it. Because you know what? These papers only show up at the very end of the album. So let me do some photo mats or something with these that I can stick in the other pages. And do I have any other papers that only show up in like 1 or 2 spots? I think those are the only ones that only show up in 1 or 2 spots. Okay, some 3x4s. I'll go ahead and add one there. Stick one in here. One in there. And one in there. All right, that's going to do it. If you enjoyed this album, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I release new mini album related content every Friday. If you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and I will link to all the materials that I can find online, including the charm and the pattern paper and the shaker mix in the description box down below. See you guys next time. Bye.